If you want more time, money, freedom, and have a business that's not reliant on you, then you're in the right place. Each week, Mark Creedon, along with some of the very best business minds in the world, will take you through simple, practical steps you can take to create the business you always wanted. From his own practical experience, Mark will show you how to work less, make more, and get the business you always wanted, the one that you deserve. Now here's your host, one of Australia's most sought-after business coaches, Mark Creedon.
Hi, I'm Mark Creedon. Welcome to the latest edition of the Mastermind for Business podcast. Hey, in this episode, I'm going to talk to you about 3 really simple things that you can do to measure performance and success. And it's a bit unusual, but it's got an awful lot to do with traffic lights. So if you are looking at ways that you can measure your performance, someone else's performance, or the success of your business, in other words, work out whether things are actually working or not, then you're in the right place. That's what we're going to look at. Let's get that underway now. I think there's lots of different ways that you can measure performance, and there's sort of all sorts of online tools and ways of being able to measure things, and no doubt artificial intelligence is going to change that front in lots of ways as well. But I think one of the big things is to keep it super simple. And the way that I look at simplicity in terms of how I measure things. Now, we're talking about measuring things. This is how I measure financial performance, my own time management of people around me, the performance of people around me, and also the performance of my mastermind coaching business as it relates to how well engaged clients are in the program. And it's using a really simple traffic light system. And I've got Nick joining me, Nick from behind the camera and also in front of the microphone as well.
Yes, here to help.
Yeah, exactly. Mate, I was talking to some really good clients yesterday. We were talking about how do they measure performance. Now, these guys are in the accounting space, so they're really good at measuring numbers and sort of, putting KPIs and critical measurements into place. But I think sometimes when we look at doing that, we can overcomplicate it. And I introduced them to the traffic light system and I always remember before your time a little bit, Nick, but I always remember that leading into the Sydney Olympics in 2000, they were talking about the 100-meter dash, and they said that they should put a traffic light just before the end and make it an amber light, because Aussies always speed through the amber light, so it'll be that momentum to get them to the finish line a bit quicker. So, but the thing is that using traffic lights is a really simple way of being able to go, how am I running on performance, right? And it's dead simple. So I think we might have spoken in an earlier episode, Nick, about using traffic lights for time management. So the concept, should I be doing something? If it's a red, shouldn't be me. If it's an amber, could be me, but best by somebody else. If it's green, then good to go. Thank you. So I think that we can use that method though with other elements of performance. And I did this scorecard with Darren Finkelstein, the accountability coach. And when he produced the scorecard, the results actually ended up either red, amber, or green. And what it showed is that in relation to the sort of the 9 points that he was asking, what are the areas you most need to work on? If they're a green, they're good, let them go, they're 80% plus. If they're an amber, they're somewhere between 60 and 80, and if they're a red, they're below 60%. They're the things you really need to work on. And in fact, that's exactly how we assess clients when they first join us in Mastermind. We ask them 9 questions around the 9 drivers that we know that drive a business, and we look at, do they fall into red, or amber, or green, so we know what are the areas that they really need to be working on and how we can help them to get some quick wins first. But I think the big thing about this is that if you're looking at somebody's performance, right, and you want to say, well, how well are they performing? So you can create all these KPIs and you can work out whether they're meeting KPIs or falling short. But let's not overcomplicate it, because you can do it really simply by grabbing those KPIs and turning them into a traffic light. And by that I simply mean if they're achieving at that 80% mark or above, it's a green. If it's somewhere between 60 and 80%, it's an amber, and if it's below 60%, it's a red. Now, what does that mean in terms of what you do with it? Well, if it's a green, let it go. if it ain't broke, don't fix it. If it's an amber, they're going to need some support and help, and that's where you need to either jump in and help them, or help them to solve some problems, or get some support, or get some additional coaching from them, or whatever it may be. And if it's a red, then you've really got to get involved with them and address what's going on and find out. Maybe they're not the right person, and maybe they're the right person but in the wrong seat on your bus. So I like the idea when it comes to measuring performance of trickling it back and really simplifying it and putting it into traffic lights. And I suppose, Nick, you could even think of, like, because I know that your forte is video, obviously, but if you were looking at somebody who was shooting a video for you, you could even look at, if they said to you, how was the performance, you could almost rate that in a traffic light system as well.
Yeah, 100%. I really like it.
So I mean, if it was green, we go, it's good enough. We're going to run with that. If it's an amber, look, it might need a bit of editing. And if it's a red, it's holy crap, we're going to shoot that again.
Yeah, I think something that, not everyone's like this, but for me, I'm quite a visual person. So having something visual assigned to a performance is going to help me really wrap my head around it.
Yeah, look, I'm super visual. You probably got that from me, but I'm super visual. The thing about it is, I think that if you're sitting down with a team member and you're looking at their performance, and you pull out all these big charts and lots of KPIs, and there's lots of blinding figures in there, I know that I kind of gloss over, I glaze over, I should say. I lose interest when I'm just looking at figures. But if you present me like a financial report that's got a traffic light system, it takes, my eyes directly go to, holy crap, what are the reds that I need to fix? Or alternatively, well, what are the greens that are doing, really well? And I think that, either way is a good outcome. So, how can you use traffic lights? Well, I think you can use them in a number of ways. You can use them in terms of looking at your financial performance. Obviously, you're going to break down the numbers, but in terms of a financial performance summary, a traffic light's a really good way of looking at it. You can look at it when you're assessing your own performance. How have I gone this week? How have I gone in terms of what I've wanted to achieve? Am I happy with where I'm at? The areas of the business that I'm responsible for, where do they sit in that traffic light score? And so you can assess your own performance that way. I think it's a great tool to assess the performance of your people. So being able to look at people around you and go, how are you going? Well, do you know what? Right now you're kind of in red, and there's some things we need to address. Sorry, mate. I thought you were going to say something then.
No, sorry.
That's right. Saw you lean into the microphone. Thought you had some pearls of wisdom you were going to share with us.
I'm just really enjoying this chart.
Right. So, traffic light system, keep it simple. It's a nice 3-step process to measure performance. And if you think about it, you can measure performance around your financial performance, your own performance, your team's performance. Let me share with you how we do it with our clients as well. So, our Mastermind Business Accelerator program, we have our clients, and there's a number of things that we offer. So, we offer weekly hot seat sessions. We have 3 times a year we have intensives where we get all our clients together. But what we do is once a month we have a traffic light meeting, and we actually call it a traffic light meeting. And in that meeting we look at every single one of our members, and we determine where they are on that traffic light system. And it's determined based on, there's a number of criteria. So what we can do is you can take 4 or 5 criteria. So for us, it would be, have they been attending the hot seats? Have they been contributing? Have they been posting on the tribe in our closed Facebook group? Have they booked in for the intensives? Do we see them asking questions? Have they booked their game plan sessions? So there's a bunch of criteria. But if you looked at all of that criteria and you just tried to assess it based on 7 different points, for example, it's kind of really hard to get to an outcome. But what we can do is across those 7 points, we can come to a conclusion as to where they sit. If they're a green, it means, they're engaging, they're getting value out of the program, because at the end of the day, that's the most important thing to us. That they're getting value out of it, it's working for them, we leave them alone. If they're an amber, we follow them up, and it's a quick message, hey, do you guys need to book an unstick call? It's time to book your game plan call. We just sort of put that effort out to them. And if it's a red, then one of the team actually gets them on the phone. And we'll go, hey, Nick, just noticed that, we've just come out of our traffic light meeting. You've come up as a red. What's going on? What's going wrong? How can we help? What's happening? So I think it's a way that you can measure in your business your engagement. If you're in a service business or professional business, measure we can talk about net promoter scores, right? And how likely is somebody to refer you. That's a great concept of having a net promoter score. But I think measuring the level of satisfaction or engagement with your team, or with your clients, I should say, by using a simple traffic light system is a really good way of going about it.
And just out of curiosity, could you use the same for within your team as well to I guess gauge the performance of your team and to help them, I guess, reach a certain level that you expect and that they expect of themselves?
Yeah. So I mean, if you get your team together for reviews, and I mean, we see these 360-degree reviews, and I apologise to any of the HR people listening to this podcast, but we see these 360-degree reviews with all sorts of complicated processes for reviewing. But Nick, imagine if you were working for me and I was to sit down with you in a review and go, hey Nick, we've gone through a whole bunch of criteria, and mate, on these 3 things you're sitting at green. On these 2 you're at amber, but on this you're at red.
It feels so nice.
Well, and you'd get a really clear picture, wouldn't you?
Yes.
Yeah. So you'd know. Okay. Well, crap, I'm at red.
It would be motivating, right?
Right, because that's something I've really got to work for.
Yeah.
But it's motivating in 2 ways. I think it's motivating in sort of a positive reinforcement in that what's green we're pushing on with, but it's also motivating in that I don't want to be in the red.
Yes.
I want to get red is not good.
Yep.
When it comes to performance or bank balances, red is not good. And so what are the ways I can do it? So the message that I want to leave with our listeners today is this. When it comes to measuring performance, whether it's financial performance, human performance, performance of your team, your clients, or maybe even of your concepts, your content, your programs, your software, a whole bunch of things within your business, you can reduce that performance down to using the traffic light system. It's a super, super simple way of being able to measure what's going on for you. And I think that once you set up your traffic light system, you will find it not easy. You'll find it easy not to just have that as a regular thing you do, but you can then use it as Nick has said before, as that motivation. So if you're talking to one of your team members and they're at a red, you can then set some timeframes. Right, you know what, Nick, you're at a red now. Let's get you into the green in the next 30 days or the next 60 days. We certainly use it as a motivator with our clients, because when we do our monthly traffic light system, if we find that there's some clients that are in the red, we go, right, okay, we've got 2 weeks to get them into the green. What are we going to do to reach out and help them to get stuff done and achieve more so that they're back into the green in the program?
And could you also use it as a gauge to gauge, I guess, your customer satisfaction, right? If they've had a good experience, it's a red, or a medium experience, it's a yellow, or if they had a really great experience, it's green. So that way you can gauge how you respond to your clients and your customers as well.
Yeah, 100%. So we spoke about using it in terms of, for us in masterminding client engagement. But Nick, that's a great point. You can go one step further. And let's talk about customer satisfaction. I do quite a bit of flying, and I'm often getting, from the airlines, you get these surveys, and there's 35 questions. But at the end of the day, I think what I really want to know from my clients is where are they at right now in terms of their level of satisfaction with the value they're getting out of working with us. And if we can drop that down to a red, amber, or green, I reckon that's a really cool way of doing it. Nick, good stuff. Simple process, 3 easy steps. Take what you do, drop it down, put it into a traffic light system, and you'll watch that you'll be able to use that as a motivator for your team, for yourself, for your business, and for your clients as well. These are the sort of things that we teach our clients all the time in our Mastermind Business Accelerator program. If you are in a service business, or you're a professional and you'd like to build a business that's a whole lot less reliant on you. By the way, this kind of really feeds into that, because if you have simple processes like traffic light systems, 3-step processes, you can automate that, you can delegate that, but the big thing is that all of those things can be done with a whole lot less reliance on you. So if you're running around in your business now kind of tearing your hair out going, how do I keep track of all these things? Break it down, nice and simple, traffic light, then you can get other people to do it business becomes less reliant on you. That's what we teach our clients. metropolemastermind.com.au. Love to have a chat to you. Until next time, we'll see you next time in the Mastermind for Business podcast.